Okay, so it's been quite a while since I've done any video updates on this, so I thought I'd bring you up to speed where we've got to. So I've done a pretty thorough kind of restoration of the frame of the quad. I stripped it right down, took everything off that I could, repainted it all, a couple of coats, which took an age, and now reassembled it. I've stripped down and sorted all the brakes. Some of the brakes were sticking, bled the brake system at the front, so that's all working, and rear mechanical brakes are working as well. I've placed the headlight bulb, it's an LED, and stripped down the handlebars ready for the new throttle and grips. Sorry it's so dark in here. Doing a bit of CAD modelling here, a bit of cardboard aided design. This is going to be my battery box. It's going to hold two different rows of the cells. This was the only kind of configuration I figured out that would work. A little dude on the slide on the far side is part of my CAD designing as well. And yeah, the rear diff, it's got a lot of new oil in it. All of this has been repainted as well. The plastics are just mounted on here temporarily so I can check that everything fits. It's going to be a pretty neat fit. We've got the cycle Analyst display mounted at the front. It's going to need to be adjusted a wee bit of the location. That's roughly where it's going to go. Up here at the top is where I'm going to have the main junction box for a lot of the relays and switches and so on. And then down here is the other side of the battery box. So this bit of cardboard is going to be the mount for both the battery box. I'm going to have a kind of a support tray for it there. And also for the bevel gearbox. You can just see where that's going to attach to the drive shaft there. So I've repurposed the existing bevel gearbox. I got a spare one, so that's basically this unit here. You can see this blind output shaft, so you just about see the seam there where it comes off. I managed to get a spare one so I can keep the engine intact and sell it. But it's completely flat at the back, which is really handy, so I've had an adapter made up, a kind of bevel gear to fit the QS138 motor. So that is going to get mounted on one side of this plate, and then the motor will get mounted to the other side. All pretty snug fit, but as far as I can see it is going to work. So this is my last bit of modelling. I've mocked up from this very rough template here that I drew to get all the dimensions of the bolt holes and things on the chassis of the quad. I then drew that into a CAD program, printed it off at 1:1 scale just to check that everything fits. And this is obviously a bit ropey, just where it is propped up at the moment, but I've checked it carefully and all the bolt holes and things align. It's just one or two need to be moved by about 1 or 2 mil. But yeah, basically really happy. It's quite a complex arrangement I've had to do to get it all mounted at the right levels. It'll be 2 different plates. This is all looking extremely scrappy now, but it was quite neat earlier, and hopefully it's a reasonable way to check it all fits before I get all the plates built up in aluminium. These outer plates are going to be 10 mil. The inner ones will be 15. That just happens to make it the right width to match the length of the motor overall. So I'll have the motor on the back of this plate, the gearbox mounted onto that, and that plate mounted on this to get it the right distance out to line up with the drive shaft. So this is just showing the junction box in place here. It's more or less how it's going to work. Got the key there, and this is the Nutric Powercon inlet for the charging cable. Okay, so I've got my main junction box wired up. Still somewhat messy. Don't judge me too much. It's my first time doing this, and I will tidy it up a bit with some cable ties and things once I've tested it, but felt like there wasn't much point strapping it all in until I knew it worked. So I'll run you through it all in a minute, but firstly, let's see if it works. For the moment, instead of using the DC-DC converter that's going to go here, I'm just going to use a DC power supply, just a 12-volt power supply, till I make sure it's all working. So first of all, let's try the lights. That's the headlight, and that's the LED floodlight. So you can hear the relay is a little bit chattery. I think this switch here, which is original, is obviously very old and probably just needs a bit of cleaning up. So anyway, that's good. And the other thing we can try is the emergency kill cord here, which will put around your arm. So if we have the lights on, then if that gets pulled off, then they immediately click off and basically everything goes off, including the main relay, which I can also show you. So if we move the engine stop to the run position, then this relay here times on, and that's the timer relay. So in about 20 seconds, that will energize the main relay here. And meantime, what it's done is it's energized this relay, which is for the pre-charge resistor, and there's the main relay coming on there. So basically, this relay for the pre-charge will enable voltage to pass through that resistor and start energizing the capacitors in the controller, so that you don't have a massive inrush current through this when the main contactor comes on, because that could fuse it could weld the terminals in the relay basically. So yeah, and again, if we pull the kill cord up here, then all of that turns off. Maybe didn't hear over the sound of this dropping, but the main relay went off. Once that reconnects, this one energizes immediately, and the timer relay is on. In a few seconds, this one will come on as well. There we go. Beautiful. And again, we can also turn the main relay off just by the engine stop switch. So that's most of it, but what I'm going to show now is, if we move that back to the on position, this one here is the charging interlock. What this interlock will do basically is cut power to the timer relay in the event that the charging cable is in and power is on. So I just trip the breaker on this now, and you'll have heard that go clunk. So you can see the red light on this relay, and it's gone out on the timer relay. So the lights should still work. Yes. So you'll still be able to run the light, but the crucial bit is that the quad can't move whilst it's plugged in. That's the purpose of this, is that you can't drive away accidentally with the cable in it and rip all the control box apart. Should obviously not be ideal. So that's it. I'm really pleased with that. You can see the chargers come on, and yeah, basically if I unplug this here, it's fine to unplug these under load. There isn't any real load anyway on the charger. As soon as I unplug it, the AC relay should go off and the timer relay should come back on. Yes, just like that. So yeah, really pleased. Other than that one little screw up with the first relay, that's all worked out the box, which is great.